right, so welcome to another episode of the Godly Business Podcast. I'm your host, Anne Jean Pierre, and as you know, in this podcast, we usually talk godly principles and with business tips and things like that. But today, I want to talk to you guys about something different, completely different. I guess you could kind of be related, but still different. This is about my first love, which is Haiti. And we have here with us Sydney, who is actually in Haiti right now as we're speaking. I'm so jealous because I want to be there with you right now with the fresh air and everything. So we're going to talk about everything Haiti and about the initiative that he's taking in Haiti. The program is called Grown in Haiti, y'all. People who've known me always hear me talk about this. If you don't know me, have never heard about this, and I know some of y'all probably never heard of even Haiti before. So we're gonna talk about what he's doing in Haiti, the amazing work he's doing, how you can help if you choose to help, and we're just gonna have a fun conversation. So thank you for tuning in, Sydney. Go ahead, introduce yourself. Tell us about you, how you end up in Haiti, how you end up back in Haiti, rather, and just everything we need to know about growing in Haiti and
Well, thank you so
how
much, Anne,
this
for having me, first off.
whole
And
venture
again,
started.
anybody who doesn't know me already, my name is Sydney Etienne, founder and director of Grown in Haiti, where we really focus on the soil. I found out a long time ago that the soil feeds us. If only we take care of it. But at the same time, we're here on Godly Business, and my journey to this place or where I am right now in life has definitely been ungodly business too. So it all relates. um, so yes, thank you again for having me.
Awesome, awesome. So I know right now, for people who
Correct.
don't know,
I'm
you're in
in
the
the
western part of
southeast,
Haiti, right?
actually. Yes, Sud-Est,
Yeah,
which is the closest town to me. I'm like
southeast
in the
of
mountains,
Haiti.
right smack in between Jacmel and Kai, if that makes sense. Yes, it's another
Okay,
city between
I have
Jacmel
no
and
idea what Kai
Marigot
Jacmel is,
and
but I
Pegadou.
know
I
what
don't know if you know
Jacmel is.
those towns. Right. Near Jacmel,
Nope. I just know the big ones. I know the big ones. I've been to Jacmel, of course, and stuff like that. But, it's unfortunately a lot of people, even Haitians myself, we don't know Haiti, and that's the problem, I feel like. A lot of times we're like not
very
even to say
localized.
Americanized,
Yeah.
because even people in Haiti just
People in
kind of
Port au
stay
Prince
in their
don't
own
venture
bubble
out. Yeah.
anyways. You know what I'm saying? Very localized, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Exactly. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just I wish we traveled
No,
more
I agree
within our
100%.
own country. You know what
Because
I
like I
mean?
was having
So,
this
but I
conversation with
think it's a
somebody,
it's a
like,
thing
they're
everywhere.
talking about, oh, I want
Huh?
to travel and go all over the world and blah, blah, blah. But then I'm like, have you been here? And have you been there? Places in Haiti. And they're like, no. I'm like, then why not explore your country first? You know what I mean?
Yeah. But
Exactly.
I
They don't
have
even
the
know the
same
whole state.
conversation with people right here in Florida. It's like, oh, I
Hmm.
want to visit the 50 states. And I'm like, you have not even visited Florida. And guilty. I'm guilty of that too, right? And I have people here because I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. I have people on the north side who's never even ventured to
Yeah.
the south side of
I was
Jacksonville. And we're
fortunate
like,
when I lived in
how? How
Florida.
is
We
that
used
even
to, I
possible?
mean, just
you
out of
know?
boredom, we just get up, get in the
But
car, no work till like 6 a.m. So we just take a road trip out of state. Like every day we did something different. So I was fortunate for that.
yeah, I'm trying to do that with my son as well. And that's one of the blessing of him being homeschooled, right? So we can just go, you know. His dad grew up in Guadeloupe, so he's been visiting Guadeloupe, go to Mexico and different places and Florida and stuff like that. So that's one of the blessings of doing that, because I do
I
feel
agree.
like one, you need to know your own home and then explore, because there's so many things I'm like every day
I'm
I discover
here
about
in my
Haiti. I'm
own
like,
yard. I
this,
discover something new every day. So,
like,
let alone the whole country.
that's so true. And by the way, people, just so you know, when you are in conversation with another Haitian, we're gonna speak English. It's gonna happen. To just I'm gonna try to put translation if we get into Creole, but y'all be fine. Y'all be fine. Context clues. Y'all be fine. So how did you end up? So you kind of grew up in the United States, right? And then, but you moved back to Haiti. What happened? What was the reasoning
All
behind
right, quick
it?
synopsis.
Was it
I
planned?
was
Was it
conceived in
spontaneous?
Syracuse, New
What
York.
happened?
My mom came to Haiti 8 months pregnant to make sure, natif natal, I was born Haitian. Have identity, you know. Usually the opposite, but
Oh my
we
God.
are very proud of
That's
who we
usually the
are.
opposite.
We're
People
proud of our
usually have
history. We're
their
proud
kids.
of everything that makes us who.
Yeah, that's so crazy.
So I was born. I was supposed to be born in Miaguan, but I ended up being born in Pitziguab in like an emergency situation type of thing. But I was raised in Miaguan with a I almost started speaking Creole with a garden of sorghum and Congo peas and sugar cane and potatoes and plantains. I mean, all everything. Like I just grew up on a farm. My mom had goats. Like it was just like the whole like rural upbringing. Um, Around 6 years old, 1989, 5 or 6, like the country was having issues with the ousting of the regime and da 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 da. Mind you, before any of that happened, it was the best country ever. Like it was completely safe. Like, I mean, if you were, you know, doing the right things, I guess, But that's when
Hey,
it
I
started
grew
going
up in
downhill.
Haiti in the 90s too, and early 2000s, and I still felt safe. It did, but I still felt like I feel like around like 99
Yeah,
and 2002, 3, they
yeah.
just
I
went
mean,
like
it's
boom.
still good
But
now. I
I
mean,
still
as far
had
as I'm
plenty
concerned,
of
it's
fun
not
in
the
Haiti.
country is not about the politics. It's really about the people. And anywhere you go in Haiti, I mean, you won't find not one person technically sleeping on the streets. You get what I'm saying? Whether you have or don't have, you will be fed, you will have somewhere to sleep, people take care of each other. So, I've taken my motorcycle all throughout the South, a little bit through the North also. And
Yeah.
my experience, how the parents or like the older generation, like, oh, it's scary and da 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 da, they try to talk you out of it. And then my experience going out is like, ever since I was a kid too, like even walking up here at 2 o'clock in the morning, when I was 11 years old and like ducking into somebody's house and be like, hey, it's raining outside. I need somewhere to sleep. And they fed me and gave me lodging and everything. You know what I mean? Like, it's always been a positive experience. I've always been cared for, loved, or received anywhere I went in the country, um, especially from those who have the least, which is the most beautiful thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's all about
Yeah.
community here,
Which is
and we're
still
unfortunately
crazy.
losing
Yeah.
that. Yeah, you know,
Yeah, oh my gosh, don't get me started on that. That's one of the thing I remember hospitality was the core of our culture. Like, and I remember back in the
yes,
days when
that's
you
still
go
a
to
principle in
someone's
my
house, you
yard.
knock on the door and you say, "One,
Yeah,
onadi, respect." See, but I do feel like that is slowly dying and unfortunately dying fast because it seems, again, I have not been in Haiti in like 20 some odd years, but it seems like everyone is moving more toward
and
like
there's
an
a lot to
Americanized
say about that.
culture,
Like I've been
which
around
is
when the
sad.
destabilization tactics started. I've been around since the first USAID can of oil made it to the country. I was around before like heavy plastics were used in a mass, consumeristic way. You know, and it's been slowly but surely just destabilization after destabilization. Things are being forced on us, whether we fight it or not. Like the GMO seeds, for example. Farmers here burn down tons of seeds, yet they just keep pumping them in. You know what I mean? The worst pesticides, the worst herbicides, everything is just being dropped on us, unfortunately. And at this point, too, with all that destabilization that comes with people wanting to seek better, you know, a lot of us, I'm guilty for that too because I wasn't old enough to make a decision, but I was one of those that was like sent out of the country for safety, security reasons, and blah blah blah. And the best of us leave, and not many of us come back.
Yeah.
We learn to fear ourselves. We learn to adapt to the comfort and the security that America brings. You know what I'm saying. And anybody who just moved to the States, no matter if they've been there for a
Mhm.
week or a month or a
Mhm.
few years, they can wholeheartedly agree that there is no security, there is no health or care. Yeah, it is a mirage. It's like all that glitters isn't gold, and they've
It's
been
a
telling us since we
mirage.
were a kid, and we just never really learned to really listen. So yeah, we get used to that convenience. That's the word I was looking for. It's convenient. The quality is not there, but the abundance is.
I talk about how convenience is what's killing America. And I think the whole idea of convenience too is what's slowly killing the world. I read a a Chinese proverb. Um, this is me paraphrasing, but pretty much how technology kills your soul, right? So, and how like using your hands to do
We are here
things
for
connects you
physical
to
experience.
reality, whereas technology kills your soul.
Hmm.
Exactly. I'm like we are a spiritual being in a physical body
Wholeheartedly.
for a reason. Like, yeah,
I
so I
wholeheartedly agree with
completely
that.
get it. And it's sad. Huh? Yeah, it's sad that our world is where it is. And I definitely agree with the brain drain because that's what happened during slavery, right? They took all of the best doctors, the people. So Africa is what it is because unfortunately, I mean, there's a whole nother thing, but you know what I mean? And I feel like that's exactly what happened to Haiti too. Like you have the brain drain because unfortunately you go to school, you become an engineer and a doctor, there's no jobs. So you move. And then America, hate it or love it, however you want to feel about it, is what it is because of everyone who came with their talents and contributed to the greatness that it is. So I'm like, why can't we just go back and do what's being
Hmm.
done there? And I'm a poli sci major, international relations. So I'm like very big into like what's going on in the world. And right now, I don't know if you heard about what's going on in Africa with Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali. I'm like, can we? I'm
We
like, I've been
can,
saying
but
this
the
for
thing is,
years.
we're not
They're
in control
doing it. Why
anymore.
can't we just
You
do
know,
it?
and again, like we go back to the story. Like, yeah, this is
Oh,
this is one of the
yeah.
reasons I ended up coming back. Like, I spent years in the States. Every summer vacation, I was always in Haiti. I always, in my heart, knew that I didn't belong there. Nothing made sense to me there. I do like the language. I love the vocabulary of English. That's all I'm going to say. But, it has a rich vocabulary. I like the fact that there's 10 words for every single thing that you want to say. It's a feeling.
But you know what I love about Creole though? Just saying. Because it is exactly. But also I can invent
Yes,
a word
yes,
right now as
exactly.
we speaking and you'll grasp exactly what I'm saying. That's what I love about Creole. Cause it could be like I could just say something, but in the context of the conversation, you know exactly what I'm
Agreed.
saying. But it's a completely new word that I just invent. That's what I love about Creole. English grammar,
It's a little complex for
I guess
us.
not the
Like a lot of
language, the
things, like
grammar
I've
throws
learned,
me
like
off
when
because
you
I'm like, it
translate
makes no
them
sense.
directly in Creole, it's actually the proper way of saying it in English. You know what I mean?
It don't make no
And I'm
sense.
like, wow, like we are way more sophisticated in our language than we
Yeah.
give ourselves credit. Like seriously. But yeah, you asked how I ended up here. Fast forward through all the middle parts. After years of wanting to be back home, I realized that. Well, it wasn't that I realized it. Like a good Haitian, I started having dreams, and it was a dream of like, anybody who's been following my story have heard this story before. It's like it was a
Boy.
dream of like a forest. Well, not a forest. It was like a little green dot. It was pulsating and pulsating, and as it pulsated, it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And when I saw it, it was just nothing but lush greenery. And yeah, that just kind of like got me up one day, went to Home Depot, got a bunch of tools, set it in my office, and I'm like, okay, what am I going to do with you now in New York? I guess I have to go do something about it. But that, the whole journey started before that, like a trip here to Haiti during one of the lunar eclipses. I was on the beach with my good friend, and I remember there was a point in the night where a fog enveloped us, and it was like you can't see past the sand that we were sitting on. And I asked him, I was like, if this was all that was left, all that was, you know, left for us to exist on, would you be happy? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, so would I. So it's like connecting with these things within yourself and, speaking to the universe, speaking to God, as you'd like to call it. It's just like you find that you're home wherever you are. And getting used to the conveniences of the US was hard to let go because you fear new beginnings. Everybody fears new beginnings, new businesses, new jobs, first day at school, whatever it may be. Um, but like, yeah, once you decide to come back
Yeah.
and you put your heart into it and you put your soul into it and realize that Haiti, for one, is not the United States. It should never be like the United States, And I'm guilty for that too. In my 20s, I
Thank
came here.
God
I'm
for
like,
that.
where's my cranberry juice? Why doesn't electricity work? Why da 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 da? Complaining like a spoiled little brat. And it was like I realized, I tried to move here in my 20s. And I realized, I'm not ready to be here and appreciate it for what it is. Let me go back and get some more stress, pile up that stress so that when I come home, I actually appreciate what I have here. So it's like, yeah, coming home with the right mentality is
Yeah.
a big, big, big thing because Haiti will make or break you in any which way you want to think about it.
So it's funny that you said that because there's this big movement in the United States right now where most African Americans are looking to move abroad, right? And that's been happening
Yeah,
before the Trump thing. The Trump thing just like put fuel to the fire, right? So one of the conversation like there was there's a summit every year. So Exodus Summit 2024. One of the conversation they had was being able to adapt to the country that you're moving to. And exactly what you just said, not expecting the luxuries and the conveniences that you had. And it's funny because I was watching an interview of this, like this was three of them. They were talking about how many people
hmm
left Costa Rica because there was just so many things they just couldn't adjust to being there, right? The convenience of having water whenever you want to turning on your faucet versus having to wait for a truck to bring you water. And the more they talk, I'm
normal
like, that's
life.
what we do in Haiti. Like, what are you, So it's like being a normal life. And that's one of the reasons, too, like, why I was so big on like making sure my son travels to see like this is not how everyone lives. Like, you know what I mean?
It's
Like
it's a
you have light
convenience.
on every day
It's a convenience.
doesn't necessarily mean
hmm
that's what it is everywhere. It's oh my gosh, like the internet. We're big on not watching screens. So he gets screens 2 hours a day. And then the internet went off and he was like,
I mean, I spent two
Mom. And
years
I'm
here
like,
without like
bruh.
even cellular connection to make a phone call, and you know
Seriously.
what? You just get a new routine. You go enjoy the sunrise in the mornings instead of sitting on in
Listen,
meetings, and it's just it actually is great. I mean, COVID was great too. I'm sorry for anybody who didn't enjoy it, but like it was just so peaceful. Everything was green and lush, and like it was good times. Like I'm looking forward to like the abundance that brought, and so many people were like getting it together at one point too. Like I remember before the restrictions that got lifted, everybody was like, "Oh, I'm gonna do everything my heart desired and everything I dreamed of since I was a kid." And the second restrictions lifted, it's like party time. I'm like, wow. um, but yeah, we should within ourselves make better choices for ourselves, for our families. Um, like I couldn't imagine raising my daughter anywhere else other than Haiti. You know,
I say that all the time. I say that all the time. And one of the things I told my mom, and of course they're like, beats it, ufu. Well, I'm like, is I want to go to Haiti for a whole year and just travel and just document people like, just like here, right? New Yorkers are completely different than like people from Boston, people from Miami, like things like that. Like even in Florida, like Tampa boys and Miami boys have their own thing, the tally, like it's a whole thing. So I'm like, I want to really understand our culture and that deep level. You know what I'm saying? Like, how does Okap feel about people Okai? Like, who actually makes the best, D John John, like stuff like that. So I wanted to do that, and my mom's like, "This sounds great, but I don't think it's safe." And that's the biggest thing is like the safety thing. And I know they harp on that a lot. And a lot of people want to move. Like I've met a lot of millennials like me who are like, we want to move. We don't know where to start. Is the safety thing as big as they saying it is? And I'm like, I don't know. I haven't been in Haiti in 20
Well,
years. So I'm gonna ask you, since you there,
that's a question
is
that
the
we
safety
ask
thing that
ourselves here all the time.
big?
Okay, because I don't know. I don't want to say things from what I've seen, just my assumptions necessarily. But a lot of us know it ourselves, and we can clearly see when something doesn't come from us. Um, for example, like even way before any of this nonsense, uh, we had paid luck. When there was like a countrywide like strike, or what they called grève back in the day. Um, and no matter how long these things would last,
Yeah.
during school hours, students were allowed to go to school. During On Sundays or Saturdays and Sundays, you go to church, you go to the mashe, you get your
Church.
provisions for the week, but stay out of the streets. That's fair. We've always been fair. We've always prioritized our children. What's going on right now in the capital and in the surrounding areas, unfortunately, I don't feel is necessarily coming from us. Where it's coming from is up to speculation. Anybody can decide. But the safety thing, like I came home with my daughter, who's now going on 8 months, um, and I spent a night in Okap. We got to explore Okap a little bit. I flew down to Lekai. We explored Lekai. We went to Jacmel very safely and soundly without any interruptions. Um, so I can share my experience. I mean, really, I'm sure a lot of people hear this a lot. It's, Port-au-Prince is not Haiti.
Yeah.
You know, just like when I lived in Brooklyn, like the amount of times that somebody's phone got taken, a purse got taken, just walking 3 blocks from the subway to my house, I can't even count. The day after I decided to leave, uh,
Yeah.
a friend's brother, a close friend's brother, was on the news for shooting 2 police officers right on the corner of my apartment, and then the police officers shooting him in the subway. So, a matter of safety is really perception. I mean, and if this is a godly thing that we're speaking about, it goes a long way. Wherever you are, what's meant to be will be, and it's yours to keep, and it's yours to carry. Be ready wherever you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
For example, look at everybody who left during the Biden era and the TPS era. They sold their land. They gave up their houses. They literally cut ties with the country, and look what's happening. They have to, and they're crying.
They're
They
coming
have
back.
to.
They're being
And
sent
I'm like,
back
yo,
home.
why don't we nurture what we have here? And this part of our work
Yeah.
here at Grown in Haiti, here in this community, for example. My mom spent time here in this community when I was younger, and I used to come visit all the time. And she was doing fairly the same thing, regenerative agriculture work, way before it was cool, before the internet, before anybody was even talking about it.
In your
So yes, it's in
DNA.
the footprint. Like I grew up on a farm, so it's kind of like in my blood. But like without community, there is no real sustainability. And if we don't reinforce our own communities, like the people around here, when I first came, when the boys, for example, turn a certain age, like 13, 14, they get sent to Santo Domingo to go cut sugarcane. It was like a rites of passage. Like the girls, however, which was a beautiful thing, get all the priority and they get sent to school in town. But within 2 to 3 years, they come back pregnant.
It's
You know,
crazy
so
in
it's
other
like,
cultures the other
how
way.
are we evolving? Why don't we
Yeah.
support our schools right here in the community? Why don't we support our kids and our each other? You know what I mean? Like, we can thrive together. Unfortunately, and even those of us who love the country, like, we're in the States and everybody's still thinking for
Yeah.
themselves. The amount of times I came across a clear as day Haitian claiming to be Jamaican or Dominican or whatever else but Haitian, I'm like, bro, like, when I lived in West Palm Beach, it was like a stigma to be Haitian. I was the only person claiming Haiti.
Bruh.
People used to get jumped just for being Haitian.
Oh,
My
I
cousins,
know. I
well, not my
remember
real cousins, but like
being Haitian.
my,
Yeah.
close
I
family,
remember middle
friends,
school,
whatever,
high
cousins
school.
would not claim me as a relative. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, it is what it is. We have to be more proud of ourselves, more proud of our country, more proud of our capabilities. Like, here in the mountains, you got to give yourself power. You got to give yourself water. You got to give yourself everything. I started off in a tent. I was here 3 years in a tent. You know,
I
hiking
remember
three
that.
4 hours to get a five
You
gallon, well,
told
two
me that.
five
I was
gallons of
like,
water because I got to
what?
stay balanced, and hiking back up 3 4 hours. And that was just the water of the nursery. Like, I'll try to bathe in the river and da da da. Maximize my energy. Um, but yeah, but like, I started from scratch, like literally from scratch. Little Coleman tent. I had a little portable power station and my phone. I mean, that was it. And my thing was, like, before I can build a house, I wanted to justify my use of lumber. I wanted to justify my presence in general. I wanted to give back to the land before I took from it. You get what I'm saying? And this is before I even learned the term
You
regenerative.
took.
Like, these are like, if we just listen to the voices, we follow our intuition, is going to lead us to somewhere bright. I mean, this yard had nothing when we first came. We have like, oh, sorry, I forgot this is not attached. We have like 50-foot trees, full of fruit. Um, so you just got to believe. You got to
Wow.
come, motivate, um, have a, well, I wouldn't say have a plan, because my plan was to go on family property in Miagwan and, do the whole naked and afraid thing. Grown in Haiti, all that stuff was a total accident. It all came from, like, the need of the community. Like, if you have presence and you can do your part, whether it benefits you directly or not, do it. Like, do what you got to do.
The thing is, I feel like the difference is people are not really
But it's not really a sacrifice, is it?
mentally sacrificial,
Like,
right?
you take
Like
care
you
of
were
your
saying,
neighbor. Do you not take care of yourself?
it's not, right? But of course. But I feel like my husband, I used to call him a borrowed Haitian. I sempre think. I taught him how to speak Creole, right? And I'm like, I sempre he listens to a lot of like Haitian
Yeah.
stuff like that, like an old man. You know how like the old folks used to listen to Haitian radio. And a lot of the things I'm hearing is because
Yes.
to me
There's a
it
lot of
aggravates me.
gossiping.
I'm like, there's a lot of complaining. This is the problem. This is the problem. This is the problem. This is the
What's the
problem. And I'm
solution?
like,
Yes.
great. What are you doing about it? You know what I mean? Like what's the solution? What's your portion? What is it? And now I do hear some people who are giving ideas, right? Like maybe we should do this, maybe we should do that. That's better. But it's like we have to get past the
Yes.
talking,
Yes.
right? The talking, the aspiring, the this. And that's one of the things I like when I first learned about
Hmm.
what you were doing.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I got tired of
finally,
talking
somebody
about it.
who's putting their money where their mouth is, right? That's like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna and that's what I'm saying. I'm just like, and
Hmm.
this is to me as well, right? Like I'm not pointing finger because
But
I'm
even while you're
still
there, you're still
here
doing
in the
your part.
United States. You know what I'm saying? With my student loans, and
Yes.
as much as I can, right? Like go buy the T-shirt, y'all. Go buy the T-shirt. Go buy the cup. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, go buy the cup. Do the part that you can. But I do feel like we have to move from um talking
Hmm.
to doing. Like yes, maybe you can't go to Haiti, right? You
Well,
have ties, but can you support an organization that's actually doing something? Not just, hey, I'm gonna give my money to
I gave
Red
Red
Cross, which
Cross
we know
money.
stole billions of dollars during the
Okay.
earthquake.
So,
And
mhm.
I studied nonprofit, right? So I already knew not to do that. So no, they definitely was not gonna get my money. Um, because not every nonprofit is
Yes.
nonprofit. First of all, nonprofit's not supposed to be not profitable. That's a huge misnomer. Like, no. But the second thing is it's like um one of the things I've learned through my research is that some nonprofit exists to perpetuate the
And that
issue.
is exactly why I didn't
Because
want to
if
be
the issue no
associated
longer
with that realm
exists,
for
they no
such a
longer
long
need it,
time.
right? Yeah. And trust me, like that's yeah. And a lot of people when they tell you like, oh, they're going to Haiti to start a
Nah.
nonprofit,
You want to do it,
everybody in
come to
their heart
Haiti,
is
do
like,
the
yeah,
work,
yeah, yeah.
show that you can do the
You know what I'm
work,
saying? You roll your eyes
then
because
look
you're
for the
like, yeah,
support. Because otherwise,
that and that's why I love growing in Haiti.
mhm,
Because it's not about it was like I'm just gonna do the work, and
let's
then people
expand.
started
Yeah,
giving, and then it was like, okay, now it's what it is today, but it didn't start as
exactly. Bon,
let me
as of
start a
last year,
nonprofit. How about you
we're
start doing
officially
the
a
job that the
nonprofit now, and
nonprofit is
all
supposed to
that
do?
is because of longevity. Because long after I'm gone, I would love for Grown in Haiti to still be supporting communities here in Haiti. This is where it comes into a positive use. You know, and now everybody's tax deductible donations. Yeah, you got to do the work.
Yeah,
You got to show it. Like,
you
and that was
started
my
the
thing when I
work
first came up here.
first.
While I was in the tent, I had my nursery, and I was just up here recovering from an injury at first. I just ended up staying, but I had my nursery. I was giving out trees, and I realized a lot of my trees were being left on the wayside, like to die. And I'm like, bro, like I'm hiking for this water to sprout these things. Like, what's going on? Um, and I was like, you know what? It's time again to stop talking about it and be about it. So it's like, within 2 years, while I was in the tent, somebody offered me a piece of land, the land that we're on right now, and I just started forcing it up. Since then, we built. Well, they offered me a piece of land to purchase.
They just offered you a piece of
Yeah.
land.
Not just like, hey, here's some land, like take it. Yeah, I wish.
Gotcha. No, but you know what's crazy though? The reason why I'm saying that is because
Yeah.
my mother-in-law have had so many people give her free land, and she always said no. And I'm just like that
And
to
that
me. I was just like,
happens.
you
And
did
that
what?
happens.
You did what? Like, but she was like, I can't do anything with it. You know, my kids are not gonna go back, things like that. So she's like, she's older and stuff. But now, my husband, who is her son, he's like a oops baby. He's like all about moving back and doing something. She's like,
Yeah.
man, had I known you'd be
No,
whatever, because
it's
after
a
all the
lot
money,
of.
I
I
would
mean,
want to
there's a
come
lot of
back. So,
empty land. I mean,
but yeah,
that's another thing that the Jasper community can help with. If anybody out there who's watching this podcast has land here that is secured, meaning that it has a wall or a fence or something to protect, and wants it to be reforested while they're still away before they come back home, we do have a team of locally led and motivated Haitian members that are ready to do that for you. Okay, so hire a local team, get your land reforested, come back home, and be ready. That's all I'm saying.
and have money. Be ready. But this is I've heard read anyways. I was gonna get into the subject, I'm gonna leave that alone. But with the
The what?
whole
I couldn't hear you.
seed thing,
Seeds, yes.
right? One of the things seeds. One of the things I was just like, God's math is beyond our concept, right? And someone put it this way, and I was just like, my mind was blown. And he's like, how many trees are is there in a seed?
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yes.
I'm like, God is so amazing. And then you out here literally taking seeds out of fruits so that
Hmm.
people can like, I'm like, do you have any idea how evil that
Oh,
is?
there's more
And
than
we say there's
enough.
not enough
It's
food in
just
the
not
world and
not
you taking out
sufficient in the
seeds.
way that. we're
out.
wasting it.
I'm like, exactly. That's the thing. And that's my thing when they're like, there's not enough food. I'm like, not only do we waste, but we're purposely taking. I'm like, when I tell my
That's
friends all the time, they're like, oh, this is a fruit. I say,
agreed.
it's not a fruit because it doesn't have a seed. That's the definition of a fruit. So I'm like, this
I
grape
agree.
is not a fruit. Where's the seed? Like, it's not a fruit. And I feel like if we approach things like that, like, and people are like, oh, where does, you know, um, how to identify genetically modified food. I'm like, it's
Well,
not
that
rocket
can actually
science. If it
happen
ain't got no
naturally. I'm not
seed,
gonna
it's been
lie.
genetically modified.
Like if a papaya doesn't get pollinated, it will
Not,
have
I
an
understand that
empty
with the
inside.
whole banana
None
thing.
of the bananas we eat, whether grown here
I
or
get
abroad,
that.
are real.
But
That
commercially,
you need to know. Yeah, those are all genetically
yeah,
modified
because the
hybrids
seed's
since when they
supposed to
wanted
be
to take
this
over the
big.
Panama Canal because Panama was providing bananas to the world. So seeded bananas.
Bananas to the world. Yeah. But that's the thing. There's like that when you pick the one with the smallest seed and then you like
Well,
grow it,
hybridizing,
to
where you
like
do
what
selective
how do
selections.
they
Like
call
that's
it
how
that
carrots
term?
came to be, and broccoli and eggplants and
Hybridizing.
all these things, mixing
Yeah,
different things, poisonous plants.
that's different, right? That's different. I'm not talking about that, right? Something that happens naturally. I'm talking about that company that's purposely creating things to not have seeds and to grow things and patent it. And then if it falls in my land, now you owe me. I'm like some of those things. I'm like, first of all, that would not work in Haiti.
They're
Don't
trying.
try it.
They're
Like,
they're trying.
you mean to tell me
You know,
your seed
the
contaminated my
first thing they
land and
did
now I owe
after
you?
our president got
I
assassinated,
know they're trying, but I'm
um,
hoping Haiti wakes up.
was send a shipment of vaccines and seeds. That was the very first thing on day two. You know,
Listen, I know that people will take what I'm saying offensively.
but it has to come out.
And I apologize ahead of time for what I'm about to say, but it has to be said. One of the things, whether you like Trump or not, that I'm grateful for what Trump is doing, he's waking people the hell up.
Hmm.
And the thing is, so many people were so comfortable with the US aid, with all those things. Once he cut that, like, okay, in the black community in America, you grew up in America, you know what I'm talking about. We, like, I don't remember when it was, but we were supposed to do this boycott. Like, it was like 2022, I think. I don't remember what the boycott was, but we didn't even last a whole day. People went back to doing normal. But this year, whatever happened, when we actually came together and was like, enough is enough, we boycotted Target and all this, and we actually stuck together. For the first time, Americans,
Hmm.
Black Americans, are getting their passports and visiting other countries. So I'm like, hate
Yes,
him or
open your
love him,
eyes.
he's getting y'all to get y'all together. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? He cut US aid for so many African countries, and now they're like, hey, let's find a way to supplement without relying on USAID so much. And I'm like, really, bro? I didn't think about this
But
ages
USAID,
ago.
it's not something that we
But
rely on.
now they're doing that. So I'm
It's
like,
really
it
about
is a
the
blessings in
payouts.
disguise.
That's the only reason their presence is here. Whether it's
Of
local
course, it's
government
for them.
payouts or whatever kind of payouts, like it's really about the payouts at the end of the
It's
day.
for their
All the time
benefit.
I'm seeing different organizational trucks, which I'm not going to mention any names, and you just pick the top five. You could pick the top five, and
Oh, you could say it.
it's like half the time they're driving the streets drunk. Their representatives are driving the streets drunk. Companies that should be saving lives, or like they're going to different areas of the country where they have no business to go, not delivering food or anything. Nobody knows what they're actually doing. No one locally or abroad can. You get what I'm saying? It's just a lot of like weird things happening. We're all sitting here like,
Yeah, it's a gimmick. They just give you they give the politician the money to go to Haiti to do whatever they want and no questions asked. That's what it is. And that's what USAID and a lot of those grants and whatever were
I'm
for.
glad they're
That's it.
dismantling
Like
them. I
we
hope they
could
never
say it
come
out
back.
loud. Everybody and their
Because
mama
again,
knew
like I
about
said,
it.
my first memory of USAID was those cheap like tin
And
oil
and
cans.
people who hear me
When we
say
had our
that,
own way of making oil, we had the pigs, we had everything. You know, there was no disease here when they killed our pigs. Like it's just like
when I say that, like the USA thing, people look at me crazy, and I'm like, because you don't
I
know the
watched it.
history of how messed up those things are. And listen, it is in my book.
Hmm.
Please take it
Yeah,
and take all your
there's room
that
for
you choose,
growth in
like
Haiti. You know,
all of y'all.
and I'm sure anybody who's
I'm
out
just
there
kidding.
has some long lost family member that still lives here, that still has land that you can go and build something with. Like, yo, the country needs its kids, its children back. You know, and this is why we're in the state that we are. Yeah.
Y'all like Racine Creole, like Toussaint talk about, like the
Yes,
roots. We need to
we
come back
really,
and
really, really do. No
literally
matter how
regrow.
small our impact, whether you build a cistern underneath your house and you share it with your neighbors, whether you come and you just like share some laughs, whatever it is, like the country needs you. The country seriously needs you. I mean, and I will tell you, 28 years of my life spent in the United States, I don't have anything in one hand to show for it. You know what I'm saying? Here, I can't count how many people have benefited
Mhm.
from,
You can
you know,
see it.
I'll call it little work because we could have done so
Yeah.
much more if we had the, you know, the right support and the, you know, with everybody on the same, not even the same, but on a similar kind of mentality to work together, to grow together. We would have been a lot further. So it's like, for me, it's just been light work.
So, what is one thing you really wish grown in Haiti could have? Like, what I guess how I put it is one, what is the actual support that you need from the international community, whether Haitian or not, to help in the things that you're doing, but also like for the
Oh,
Haitians who
well, the
are
Haitians
in
that are in
Haiti, how
Haiti,
can
quite a
they
few
help?
have been helping. We do a lot of plant swapping. You know, like the black sapotes I harvested recently, that came from somebody in Miobale, where I, you know, shared like jackfruits and other fruits with them. So I'm thankful for these kind of interactions. Just this past week, we had a group of maybe 8 people come. They traveled from Port-au-Prince. Okay, don't ask me how, but they ended up being stuck here for a little while because they couldn't make it back for, you know, obvious reasons. But they came up here and like took half of my nursery, you know, because they have land here near Kabik, and they're taking some back home to Port-au-Prince too. You know, I've had people come all the way from Lekai, from Jérémy, from Okap, come specifically to get plants to just go back and plant. Like, yeah, the best way you can support locally: plant a tree, eat a seed, eat a fruit, put that in the ground. You
Have you
know,
thought about
yeah. Excuse me. Hmm.
whatever? I have a question though, because there's this organization, and I should have brought it down, but pretty much, let me see if I can find it. But the gist of it is they help communities grow gardens, and teach them how to grow a diverse ecosystem garden
Yeah,
thing.
each one's each
And
one.
then like then that person will then teach someone else to do that. Yeah, so I want to know, like, because obviously grown in Haiti is located specifically in a location, but what you're talking about with people coming from different parts, have you thought about, hey, let me have a group
Yes,
here
well,
to teach those
here's the
people
thing.
in that
I
community,
and a
and then,
few others in the
you know?
country and externally from the country have actually been doing that work where we go around and we do workshops and we do all of these things. And we try to create like systems, at least like living classrooms, is what I like to call them, where people can learn from and adapt things from. Like, you know, my thing when I'm teaching, doing my workshops, is I will share the techniques that I've learned that has worked for me on my land. I will teach you other things that I've tried that may not have worked for me directly, but can work for you. And now it's up to you to apply what works best. Because no matter what you do, no matter what effort you put
Yeah.
back to the land, it's going to thank you for it. And you're going to thank yourself. You know what I mean? So, yeah, another way to support is like here, for example, where I'm sitting. This is just the annex of the community center, and it just houses our solar system and the internet. And it's supposed to be like just a more private area for studying or whatever it may be. But we're planning to build a community center here where I like to call it a community center because there's no way I'm going to keep my doors closed to everybody. But, primarily it's going to be an agricultural learning space where I can have my workshops. I can invite people from different parts of the country to come, stay a couple of days, go through a 4-day workshop on our own plots. Um, and we just continue paying that forward as best as we can because, like, I'm seeing an example, like, again, not everybody adopts every technique. But for example, from the few people that I've taught here, they've managed to spread out certain key things across the mountain. Like literally everywhere I walk now, I'm seeing like biomass plants planted, and people are doing different things in order to feed their soil, and they realize like, oh, my animals can eat this too. Like this is beneficial to me. I don't have to go way out 3 mile hike to find some like grass to put on my head to carry all the way back for my cow. So we're trying to adapt ways. Like my personal technique is just go out and plant a forest. Like I'm all about the forest systems, like the perennials, the things that just continuously give. Like all my greens come from perennials. I don't plant broccoli or any of that stuff anymore. I've experimented, but I don't, because the forest itself will nurture you year round. But like what I teach others, because it's kind of hard to let go of what you know as far as like agricultural methods. One, it's kind of hard to change your idea on a business aspect because building a forest changes your where you get your income from. It's no longer corn and beans that you're planting and only harvesting. So we try to do a mix of like syntropic agroforestry and permaculture where we plant rows of trees depending on your needs, different spaces apart, whether it's like 4 meters to 10 meters if you have animals that you want to graze or whatever. So you'll have these rows of trees, and in each row of tree, it would have like canopy trees. It would have like emergent trees, which are like the coconuts and the palm trees and the mahogany, the cedar, the really really big trees that go on top of all the other trees. Underneath, you'll have like mango, avocado, and this and that, your jackfruits and all the other stuff. And underneath that, you'll have your cacao and your coffee, and then you'll have your pineapples and your sweet
It's
potatoes,
like
and
layered and
so it's
layered.
like it's created in a way that you get a succession of harvests. You're not only selling one crop year round, and in between these tree rows you still have the space to do your annual agriculture, whether you're continuing to plant corn, beans, or you're trying to do something like cauliflower or whatever it may be. You still have room to do both as the trees get motivated to grow. So I'll say like exactly, they all support each other, and there's a whole
And they
nother
all
magic
feed
that
off of
happens
each
underneath the
other
soil
too.
with the mycelium and the fungi and the bacteria and all that stuff. Because we don't grow the trees. It's all that stuff. We need to support the stuff that's already in the soil to do the work for us. So yeah, like these methods is what we're trying to share. And my hope is that like having these transitional methods, it allows somebody to get used to or adapt to a new technique or a new livelihood, for example. Because you could also plant hardwood trees or, that you can saw eventually. Because if you cut the tree, it will grow back. Something a lot of people don't realize. The only time it doesn't grow back is when you remove the roots to plant some corn and beans.
Listen, let me tell you a joke. Let me tell you a
Hmm.
joke. My husband just cut this big tree that was encroaching on our house, right? He literally cut
Yeah.
it and burned it. Actively burned the roots because it was like pretty big.
Hmm.
And the
It
spring
is
came around
really, really
and that
hard
thing is
to
flowering
kill a tree.
again. And I was like, yes. And I'm like, the earth is like alive, literally, and is healing. And that's why I tell people when they're doing certain stupid stuff, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like, trust
It will
me,
do
you will
everything it needs
die,
to.
but
Like
the
the way we
earth will
work, we're
still
about
be.
assisting nature in what it already does. You know, we will chop down trees every once in a while that we purposely plant for that reason. You
Yeah,
know, in order to feed the soil to get biomass accumulated, because the organic matter in the soil is what brings the health up. You know, so like knowing that nothing is actually wasted is beautiful. Like I can go and even cut down this 50-foot jackfruit tree today, and within a year I'll be
yeah,
harvesting jackfruits from it again. Like within a year, like no fail.
that's beautiful. But this is why I say, like, so right now there's this big fear, and I call it mostly a fear of like a famine coming to the United States. There's been talks about it and things like that for the longest, right? So, and even in the spiritual community, like a lot of pastors talk
I
about the
heard
warning of God and things like that, and the famine
the
coming.
blood moon in
We
2014,
see
that
it
was
already
God's
with
warning
the.
to us.
Uh,
That's when I decided to
you
come
see it
home.
in the nature too. So the
Yeah.
chickens. I don't know if you know. Well, you were recently in the states. So like 2 years ago, the whole chicken thing. The chicken weren't laying eggs. Now the chickens are sick. Eggs is like, I don't know how much egg is because we got chickens and we just got a rooster. So I don't know how much eggs is, but apparently it's like crazy amount of money, right? And one of the things I noticed is during hurricanes, right? In Florida, because I'm in Florida, you automatically see the signs. Like something happens or a panic or a rumor of a panic, all the shelves are empty and people are scrambling. And what you're talking about right now is like the perfect food sustainability.
I can still hear you.
Like if you're don't tell me that can you still hear me? Because my internet looks like okay. Um what you're talking about is like perfect for food sustainability because if you can grow your own stuff, which my
So
husband is huge, I think you guys would really like each other. If you can grow your own food, which is my like that's why we have our own garden and everything like that. Like he's big on like growing your own food so you could sustain yourself and others. But most people don't see the value of that. And the fact that you're talking about the way that you're going about it is like you have food year round and you have so much, and how God made these things to be is you never have enough. Like I can have one
yes,
tomato plant
exactly,
and it's way too much for my
exactly.
family of three. So I have to give it away. I have
I'm
we
giving
have
away
eggs,
like trunk loads
like
of
I'm
avocados every
giving
avocado
away eggs
season
and
from
people are
one
like,
tree,
why are you
and I
selling them?
still
I'm
have
like,
too many. Pigs are still eating avocados.
that's what I'm saying. And then that's what I'm saying. And I'm like, the way God made this planet is for us to never ever be out of anything. Like we should never be out of food. And the fact is I'm like, if you have an avocado
Let's
tree and
swap.
I
Yeah,
have a mango tree,
that's the whole thing
like
of me planting
now we both
diversity.
avocado and mangoes. You know what I mean? So but I love what you're doing and the fact that people can self-sustain.
Yes, the
And then
more of
as
us
a
that work
community,
together,
we
the further
self-sustain
we
each
get,
other.
the faster we
And I
grow.
feel like that's the whole point.
We
Yeah, a summer some shy
yes,
Lu. Like that's why we say that. You know what I mean? And the thing is too is
yes.
like
This
there's
is the
no
country of
nation
its
without a
people.
community. There's no nation without
The
each
country is its
other.
people.
So I know you said how, huh? That part, right? So this is how the people there
Well,
are
for people
contributing. So how
outside,
can the people
I do
outside
have some
contribute?
people. I'm not gonna say their locations who are constantly helping me replenish my seed stock. So thank you guys for that. I no longer have to purchase seeds. Like apart from the things that I'm harvesting from the trees that I've planted the past 10 years, and replenishing from. We're trying to get as much diversity of food producing trees as possible because a lot of our land has been left barren. We can't do any harm by putting food on it. So that's one of the things that you can do to support. I did start a committee with the local farmers recently where we're trying to get more heirloom quality seeds in also, which is kind of like the same thing but slightly different because this is agriculture as opposed to trees, reforestation. So there's, you know, our choice of seeds in the country and our quality of seeds here is not dictated by us. These seeds come in packets that tell you that you need masks and gloves before even opening the packets. So if you have a source or you working at Burpees or anywhere that has heirloom seeds that have climate adapted seeds for a location like Haiti and you want to support local farmers, thumbs up on that. We would really love that boost, and we can put you directly in touch with the Farmers Committee. Another thing, again, for our workshops, like if you can financially support in any way, get us around the country a little bit more, help us build our community learning center, it will be so much appreciated. Right now, everything is tax deductible. Um, and if you want something back in return for your contribution, we do have tree certificates available. We do have these beautiful hoodies and t-shirts and all these things. It's really very small contribution that we get from that because we cannot, print in stock, but it still shows you support and you wearing it and sharing our story with others alone is a huge benefit. Again, many hands don't make light work. Just spreading the word. And again, if you can't even do anything for Haiti right now, you got a backyard. Go out in your backyard, plant something. Like do something locally because we're all living on the same planet. We're all breathing the same air. Whatever you do matters. Drive less, get a bike. Like go to your local farmer and get to know them. Like support each other. Like I mean, it's really what it is at the end.
Yeah, I think too another way people can help, like you said, is to spread the message. Because a lot of people still like I don't think any of my friends don't know about you because like that's one of the things I tell them like instead of birthday gift,
Thank
go to Grown in Haiti and give a gift, give something. So that but spreading the message because there's there's a lot of work to do. And if you call yourself a Haitian and if you say you love Haiti and it's all talk and you have not done anything actively to help, like, do you really love Haiti? I know that was a little guilt trip. I'm sorry, not sorry. But you know what I mean? It's time for us to like start putting our money where our mouth is. So even if it's like, like you do a week without eating Starbucks,
you.
that's
Big time.
$20. Like, you know what I mean? That you can donate. And and it does go a long way. But one of the things that you mentioned now I wanted to talk about, there's are there lands that are owned by the government that maybe they can
Or anybody.
allow you or your organization to
um,
grow on while it's sitting vacant or anybody to
yeah,
grow
no,
on
like
because
I
it's
give
free,
everything,
right?
everything I
Like you
grow,
guys don't
everything
charge, I'm
is free to
assuming.
share as long as you're gonna take care of it, and it's gonna benefit you. Like, I'm all for the team themselves. They're gonna have to figure out their own prices for their service, but for me myself, like I'm here for the land. Um, Government. I've been reaching out to the Minister of Agriculture and a few other agencies via social media, via emails for some years, and I have yet to get a even hello. How you doing? Um, except for the Minister of Tourism who wanted to come do tours up here, and I was like, that's not really what we need at the moment. We need our community reinforced. Like, just bring groups up to come see the
Tourism as in
forest
what?
or
Like
whatever. Um,
reforestation
and I
tourism?
do
Like
that on my own regardless. Like anybody who wants to come up can always come up and visit. I always send people back home stuffed with fruits or veggies or whatever I have in the garden. Uh, no, come on over, come on over. Uh, but
I'm
like
coming.
the whole tourism aspect, like I've noticed things here. Like when I first came to Jacmel, there was nothing but artists and fishermen here. And I was here before the road extended past the airport, before it went by the beach, before it went to certain places. And what I've noticed about what people like to call progress is not, it's not really progressive. We really need to redefine what progress
Mm.
means for
Talk
us.
about it.
We do a lot of things in the name of good and not realize
Talk
what
about it.
it ends up tomorrow. Even myself, we've been doing the annual scholarships, for example, and one reason why I started doing that was one, everybody wanted to support that. I'm not going to deny somebody wanting to support children. But at the same time, for me, the reason why I put my energy towards it was like, if I alleviate some of the stresses of the families, maybe they'll have more of an opportunity to see what their environment has to offer. You get what I'm saying? Because that's one thing I was hearing a lot. Like people don't plant trees because they can't
Mm-hmm.
afford the little nursery bags. I'm like, put it in the ground. You know what I mean? Like when I first came up here, I was using these little water bags as my nursery bags. Um, so it's like I got tired of the excuses. So like I tried to promote ways that you can do things with very little. Um, but sorry, I kind of went off track a little bit.
No, no. It's all good. Trust me. Like while you saying that, I'm just thinking of so many similar scenarios, but not to make excuses, but what I've realized is like people are stuck in seeing things one way for so long that like they
Yes,
can't see something else unless you present something else to them. And they're like, "Oh yeah, like even like plastic, right? Cuz our earth is polluted with plastic and it's like
at
you can
least
plant in a
you,
plastic
you
bottle.
can. It's not the
I don't know
best
how
thing
good
to
that
do.
is, you
Like
the
I use
expert, but
biodegradable
I've
bags
seen
for my
people.
nursery at this point because I want, like I really connect with everything that I do and everything that I touch. So it's like for me to be a plant and for me to
Mhm.
be ripped out of a bag and just dumped into a hole and all these things, it just feels so shocking and aggressive to me. You know what I mean? So like I took the
Feels
extra
wrong.
steps of
Yeah.
like I used to use these things called air pots,
No, I get
which
you.
are awesome because what they do is like they do a natural root pruning, so the roots actually stay very well formed without like twisting around. Um, but yeah, the biodegradable bags, like I literally give these trees, and you have your hole ready, and you literally just plop it right where it is, and these bags have all the nutrients that it needs to get it started from at the beginning of its life. So we try to do things as sustainable as possible, but yeah, we just got to stop making excuses and find better solutions.
Yeah. But that's where I was going because I'm like I've seen as much as people like, oh, it's too
Yeah,
expensive. I've seen people grow stuff in plastics is what I was going. So it's like if you
in
really
the
can't
state in
afford
the
it,
states
you could
they
just
do
throw
make
it
it
in the
expensive for
plastic
a
for
reason.
now, even though
It's business, like a lot of the seeds that I see when I go on the
yeah,
seed shelf
of course.
that are going for like $4 or $5 a pack, and I'm literally walking on it. you know,
Listen,
like here, I'll give you a quick example of something that grows wild that was going crazy in the states at one point. No, not well. Gwinnett is like, yeah,
let
wild.
me say good night, yeah.
So, you ever seen these little tiny cucumbers? This one's super sweet. They're sweet
But
when they get this
yeah,
green. But yeah, grows wild, and I'm the only one eating them.
but
Mhm.
because they don't know what it is. I remember star fruit, like in the States, it's very, very
Yeah, it was
expensive. But
just
I remember
rotting on the
growing up
floor. Yeah,
in Haiti and like the Pétionville area,
star
star
fruits,
fruits would be on the
loquats, everything.
floor. Nobody eats them. But here, like it's so expensive. Yeah,
Like I have
loquat.
like 40
Listen,
jackfruits on
you
one
know
tree
we
right now, and
Haitians, so
I'm looking at just one tree, and
like
I'm like, well, who's gonna help me eat this? Like, I'm gonna give to all my neighbors, and I'm still gonna have too much.
me, save me
All right, I got
some.
you.
Save me some. I'm coming. Now let me see how much my ticket is. I can eat some. But yeah, the tourism thing and what you said about progress, right? Like we think of um I'm not gonna name the name of this country, but I've visited this country a few times and love that country. And the few times that I've gone back, they are building up that town, that specific town a lot. And they're like, yeah, they're progressing, they're building new roads, new this, new that. And I'm seeing how it is polarizing the city. I'm seeing how
Yes.
it's creating uh,
Yes.
s- um, friction between the people that used to live there. I'm seeing, so I'm like, I don't know what you
Hmm.
call in progress. Like I don't live in that country, right? I just go visit it. And I've visited so much that I can kind of see the difference, like within the 5 years and all the progress. So when you said that, that's one of the things that it made me think of. And then like, same country, a different town, um, they building major hotels and like restaurants and all of these different stuff, right? And what's happening is the water source is going to the hotels and blah blah blah, but the regular people, like they're pulling from the same water source, they can't get access to water. Like they would turn on their faucet, the water's not coming out. You know what I mean? So it's like, what are you calling
Agreed.
progress? In
Agreed.
what way? What do you quantify as progress? And I see that too, and I see it in a lot of like the movements that's happening, um, in some of the countries in Africa that are like removing themselves from the colonizers, and some of the things they're adopting to develop themselves. Because I feel like in the mind of developing a country, people think paved roads, um, concrete
Hmm.
roads, and beautiful concrete buildings, and 24-hour electricity and stuff like that, and that's progress. But I'm just like, but
No
now
one rides a bike,
no one walks on dirt anymore. No one, like, now you're having different illnesses that you didn't used to have before, because like,
and that was it
what are we
around here.
calling
Like
progress?
before,
You know
like
what I
I
mean?
used to walk up and down.
So
Like if my mom wanted like cookies, I'd walk down to town and walk back up. And now it's like I I don't think I see anybody else walking on the road anymore other than me. And it was like, sorry, I was saying, talking about the schools earlier, like how I thought that would be progress or how it would help or alleviate certain stresses. And what it turned out being is that, instead of the families coming together out of necessity, out of stress, out of just need, um, the family's actually falling apart. Because now, like, I'm not understanding the connection necessarily, but you know, the people who are working the hardest on the land, on regenerating their lives, on regenerating the country, get the least help. And I realize a lot of the people that got the most help from things like the scholarships or emergency aid or whatever, like sending people to the hospital, whatever it may be, are the ones who are the most comfortable in their life to the point that they don't even care about the environment anymore. Now it's not about that you don't see the environment. It's like you don't care about it because you now feel entitled in a weird sort of way. And I'm personally still trying to understand this because I didn't have an easy life growing up.
mhm.
Um, and if I got like just this much of the support I've given out, life would have been a lot easier. You know what I mean? So it's like we have to think ahead of like when we think of doing something with good intentions, what it actually means in the long term. You have a lot of diasporas that come here and they get a bottle of water for 25 gourds, and they're like, "No, I'm going to pay you $5," which because that's what I'm used to paying. That changes the price for everybody locally, and that's something we don't realize. Somebody's not going to be like, "Oh, thank God this person blessed me today." It's going to be like, "Oh, this should be more expensive." You go what I mean? So it's like we really have to think hard, meditate,
I
pray
can try
on
five.
our actions
Yeah.
a little bit more. And this is what this past year has been for me. Realigning and, getting back to that internal voice and, staying focused on what it is that needs to get done for the longevity of our community.
Yeah, it's funny because in the Exodus Summit, one of the conversation was about how we maybe, how as Americans going to places like Mexico and
No, no,
different
no.
countries like that. And I'm sorry if do you have to go? Ah, okay. Um, we're talking. One of the things that we discuss in Exodus Summit is being mindful of going to a country and having that big dollar difference in power, and how it can shift the dynamic of the community. And that's exactly what you talk about. And we see it in places like Belize, Mexico. You know, those, like, I come with my dollar and I'm like, oh, this is only $1, so I'm just gonna give you $1 tip. And it's like now
Or become
that thing
an
that was $1
expectation
now
of
is like $3
like, yeah,
because, oh, they can afford it. An expectation. And like rent used to be $200 a month. Now the expats, and I
exactly.
hate
You're
that
an
word.
immigrant, yes,
I hate. I'm
because
like,
there are
you're an
plenty of
immigrant.
immigrants here on the beach still.
You're an immigrant, not an
Hmm.
expat. So as a Haitian, I'm an immigrant, but as an American, I'm an expat. Get out of here. You're an
No,
immigrant.
you and
Anyways,
me both.
that gets on my nerves. It really does. I'm just like, oh, the expat community. You mean the immigrant community? Oh my gosh. Anyways, like the prices go drastically up because now, as a landlord, do I want to take
Hmm.
$200 or I can take $500 from this person who's willing? Now, the person that they can't afford $200 anymore. And so I think in our effort to you know, progress, we create other major issues that we don't realize. And I'm just like, but we realize it because other nations are doing it and they have those issues. So we should just learn and be like, okay,
Hmm.
they did this and it didn't work out. Like that country did this, and how can we like learn from other people's mistakes? But I do agree that most countries don't give the farmers the respect they deserve until something like a famine happens, then realize how much we
That's seventy
rely
percent
on
of this country.
farmers and things. Because like even with this whole,
We need to come together.
yeah. And I feel like too, most, I feel like the rest of the country feeds Port-au-Prince.
Yes,
I could be wrong, but from what I'm
but the rest
understanding,
of the country
the
feeds
rest
the
of the country
cities because
feeds
we do have
Port-au-Prince.
multiple
And
cities.
I'm just like, but
But like
Port-au-Prince is so
majority
bigger.
of our resources, majority of our land,
Yeah,
majority
the
of our
big, yeah.
deforestation now that we can no longer blame the French for cutting our trees down, comes from needing land to supply to the cities. Like I can show you an example right next door. Just one moment.
Supply food to
So
the city.
this property next door was a property that actually had reforested 2 years ago. And because I couldn't find funding to continue paying rent or, money just to keep the forest up, they cut most of the things down to plant beans and corn again. Because they don't really care
Why
about that.
why didn't they apply the method that you taught?
My thing was that I was like, hey, you'll get a salary, an annual salary or an annual rent payment. And my hope was that eventually you will get used to the system and see the benefit of it and not want to take it down. But it's kind of hard to force somebody to see differently when they're used to just one way. And
Yeah.
exactly. And this is
No,
what
so
like
it's
why
long,
we
it's
focus on
short
the kids
term
at
gain
first because
versus
I
long
figured
term
like the
gain.
kids would grow with the trees. By the time these trees are producing, the kids would have authority on the land. But realistically, these adults, they are stubborn. Not everybody's on board. We do have quite a few adults in the neighborhood that are on board, but not everybody's on board, and they're really just looking for the quickest benefit possible because, again, that's what we've gotten used to. Like a lot of our talented, educated individuals, like when all these NGOs were down here doing nonprofit work and doing whatever and paying people US salaries while they're local, which was a great thing. Once they pull out within the year or two, all these people, they don't get up to do anything. No, they won't take a job under a certain
Left.
salary anymore. You get what I mean? So it's like all that talent is just going to waste and drinking beers and getting
Yeah,
fat.
they used to it.
Like people, like you see, the Haitian men with their big bellies, like that. That is a status thing, like that big
Well,
round belly. Yeah, and I'm like, yo, you're fully educated. You can travel the world. You can
the
work
Haitian
anywhere you
pocket.
want. And yeah, it's one thing you leave, but like continue to motivate. No, no, people will just sit around and just wait for the next person to just, like drop something on their lap.
But I feel like there was this thing about I forgot what exactly what it was. I don't think it's the correct name, but the theory of regression. Like if you're used to a certain lifestyle, it's hard to go back, right? To a certain thing, which is why I'm saying like the whole
Yeah,
developing Haiti, we have to be careful what that means because a lot of times, like what I love about the Caribbean culture, like the West Indies culture, is that it's specifically to the West Indies, right? The Caribbean culture. So when you go to like the Caribbean, you know you're in the Caribbean because of the style of housing, the distance and that. But I'm like, if I go to the Caribbean and it looks
exactly.
like a mini New York City, what's the point? And I feel like most people feel like progress is I have to look like the United States, not,
Yes,
hey, how about we embrace our
yes.
own
Put
metal
actual
roof
pepper in
and
our
pie on
pickles. Give the
pie
real coffee
because
instead of the
that's
water.
what we call Haiti. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what we are. Oh, there's this thing that happened like I think it was last year in Mexico where people were complaining, Americans were complaining that the Mexican food was too spicy in Mexico. Like, listen, the that oof. That's what I'm saying. I'm just like, you either embrace all of this or keep it moving. Like, I don't understand how you're gonna come to my country and tell me, oh, your
Back
coffee
to your
is too strong. Don't drink my coffee. But then we're so used to catering to them. That's what pisses me off. I'm like, why are we catering to other people to assimilate? And that's what black people have done for so long in the United States because we keep code switching to make other people feel comfortable. And that's why so many black Americans want to live. And I'm
don't just
like,
move to Haiti.
move
Move
to
to Haiti
Haiti.
with positive energy and
No, no. I'm just saying.
put some work in. Yes,
Oh, yeah.
because we have a
To
bunch
do
of immigrants
something.
on the
No,
beach right
I
now
mean I'm
since
sure most people who
2019
if
that are
you
still living it
are
up on the beach.
doing nothing for the country. It's I'm doing. That's what I be saying. That's what I be saying. When we get off this camera, I want to know how I can come because I'm so serious. No, like basket, you have so many people who like this is one of the things I say and I'm just like I love my Jamaican people. I know I have like two or three Jamaican followers. Um but foreigners have seized Jamaica to the point where Jamaicans can't go to the beach in my own country.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, but you could say this is the
No,
revolutionary in me,
I hear you, but
but
unfortunately, that's not the
dead boule
solution because
kai,
there's
pas en
always
question ça.
demon gemon. It's like we need to find a more
I
a
know.
better solution, a regenerative solution, because this is not working out. Like it's really not.
We can't sell our own land. And it's funny cuz the Biden situation, I don't know if you knew, but on one of the questions when you're doing the application, they ask you, "Do you own land in Haiti?" And where is the land? And I'm like, "Kitemelo sim they own land in Haiti." I'm like, why does it matter if I own land in Haiti or not?
Hmm.
Like why is that a question you would ask? You know what I mean? Somebody, do you own land in Haiti and where
Where
it
they need.
is? I thought that was an interesting question because I'm like, I don't see the relevance.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw this out there because like I don't like
You see what
throwing
I'm
my
saying? I'm like,
conspiracy theories.
yeah,
Like if you really pay attention to what's been happening in the past, and you're looking at what's happening in like places like Matissa, Port-au-Prince right now, and the plans that they have for Ilu Lagunav, which you can find on YouTube, by the way. Um, you'd find it pretty interesting. You'll realize that all this to not have to pay for relocation fees, not have to pay for a lot of things. Everybody gave up their land, turned their back on their houses. Now all of that is just up for grabs.
it's just up for grabs. Yep, yeah. I, and this is why I like my husband and I have talked to like our parents and siblings and stuff. And people like, wow, because we're like, we would like to buy land in Haiti. We have some land, but it's disputed. And I'm like, I ain't trying to die for nobody. Let me just, y'all can keep it. I'll just buy my land and stuff. And that people are like, why you want to buy land in Haiti? Blah blah. And I'm like, because if we buy now, it's better than if I wait 5 years from now, because then I won't be able to afford land in Haiti, right? And everybody's waiting for Haiti to get better. And I'm like, how does Haiti get better unless we make Haiti better? And I'm and I'm just like, I don't know this for sure, but in our Haitian anthem, which is what I tell Haitians all the time, I'm like, do we
Hmm.
realize it says like we own the land? It says no one else should own the land.
Yeah, they changed that.
Sing the anthem. That's what it says. They changed the anthem. I, anyways, yeah. Haven't pay Banu, and
But
we just
going.
anyways. But I do love. Say that again. Yeah. Well,
Hmm.
convenience will kill you because it's convenient to eat at Burger King every day. It's cheap. It's fast. And you will die. Plain and simple. Conveniences are gonna kill you. But one of the things that we discussed, and I don't even remember if you remember this discussion we had probably like 2 years ago via Instagram, was the education in Haiti, because we talked about language earlier, and the education in Haiti. Why is it still in French? And
I mean, is the truth. I mean, and the reason for a lot of our education to be bilingual because we simply don't have the technical terms in Creole, that this modern day is used to. Um, Not that they cannot be created. Like here in my workshops, there's a lot of words I pretty much had to pull out of the air and give it a definition, and it becomes a word. You get what I'm saying? Um, so
that's
there
what
are
I
ways
told
to
you. That's
do
what
it,
I
but
love about
like not
Creole,
many of us are
man.
doing
That's
it.
what I
There's a
love
bunch
about
of
Creole.
intellectuals that are arguing about words left and right. So an actual word coming to play is a whole nother story. There's nobody trying to make these technical words either. Um, they try to explain to somebody Creole or scope and be like, "That's a planet," or explain what a planet is. Go ahead, do it in your head. It's almost impossible. You're like, "Yo, Gatsili Miel, what do you got?" There's only so much you can say. So I understand the education system being bilingual, but there should be room for Creole interpretation and Creole understanding. Because our schools here, it's not about comprehending at all. It's not about learning, about repetition. Who can sound the most like the accepted members of society? You get what I'm saying? And that's why we're still in French. It's like kind of like
I
faking
feel
the
it.
funk and putting an air like the people, and nothing actually grows from that.
I 1,000%, like, I know that's not mathematically correct, but I'm 1,000% agree. And so one of the things that recently occurred in Burkina Faso, which is a formerly French colonized country, is like they kicked the French out, they doing all these things. But one of the discussions were similar, right? Because their education system is in French, but most of the people don't necessarily speak French all the time. Sounds like Haiti, right? And it's like, if everything whole system, because I remember when I was in Haiti, there were like, if there's an IV somewhere, right? It's in Creole, it's in French or in English. I went to like a Swiss school. It's in French or in English. And I'm like, English though? English? Pas Creole? Like français, anglais? Like not Creole, nous parler, hein? Like, and you have this out of school. where most of the population were, I want to say middle class, but like they all Haitian, but everybody spoke Creole on an everyday basis. Like the teacher would speak in French for the material, but when they're correcting you in Creole. You see what I'm saying? Like if they having any, sorry, I'm keeping you. But if they're having any other conversation, it's like en Creole. Like life is in Creole, but then everything else is in French. And to me, I feel like it's like you said, it's disrespectful. That's how I look at it. It's very disrespectful for you to say like, "Mwen pa ka pale lang mwen, bagay tan kou swal no gouvernement." Why? 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 And that I feel like it starts there too. There's something wrong with that, and I do think that is like choking us in a way. So
It's
are you
not
still doing the scholarship or are you no longer doing the
the energy
scholarship?
behind it is not getting us to where we really need to be. So, for example, annual pays roughly $6,000 on an average, and over 160, 175 kids to school. We would community center a long time, for example. So it's like agriculture doesn't get funded the way that it should, or regeneration of the land. Actual grown Haiti annual budget is under $10,000. That's what we've been working with since 20, if even that. So the fact that we can run and reforest this much, do this much work with under $10,000, but we're raising close to 10,000 every year for students who are going to school where they're not actually learning in benefit of their lives, or their lives just starting to hurt. You know, we can exactly
Yeah.
we can progress better.
You're not
Because
getting the return
again,
on your
part of the dream
investment,
for the
that's all.
community center, apart from the agriculture side, is to host workshops from different mentors and tutors from all over the world. If we can do that, have somebody come down and teach us how we can grow mushrooms with what we have available, for example, our families, without needing to buy meat. Like all these little things can really help progress our lives. Like these things that somebody learns, they can turn into a business if they really wanted to. There's like so much more progress than just learning French. Inside of me, in my heart, like every year I tell the neighbors, I'm like, it hurts me to do this. It really does. Because again, the return is not here. And those who make it through school, the first thing they want to do is leave. Before they even finish school, they're ready. And that's not what I'm trying to. I would like to
Yeah.
support the community to be a community, not to give people opportunities to turn their backs on the community. You know, and yeah, again, that's it's just such a weird, exactly, like damned if you
And
do,
that's
damned if
hard.
you
It's like
don't,
a
like
catch 22.
but in my heart is telling me that it's not where my energy should be going. I
Yeah.
could do so much more work otherwise, even without the money, the time spent on it and dealing with it, and because it just doesn't just end at the annual fundraising for the scholarships. Because a parent will always like spend part of the money because
Yeah,
they don't pay the
continue.
full year
Yeah.
at once. They'll always spend part of the money and end up in debt. And I'll see a kid walk, and I'm like, "Why aren't you going to school?" And like, "Well, we owe money." And I'm just
Yeah. No, I feel you because that's one of the reasons why my mom does something similar. Again, she doesn't have a nonprofit. She just helps people. Um, she's just, but she did it. She used to do that. She used to send the money to the parents, and then similar things happen. So what she does is she send the money to the school directly now on behalf of the kid and pay the whole tuition. So now the parents have to send the kids to school because school's already paid, and usually like
yes,
they have the
you just pay
school
the
buy the
full amount, and
uniform
that's what we
and the
fundraise for.
books.
Like
So like if somebody gives enough money to
shoes,
buy the
uniform,
books and
books, book
uniform,
bag,
they go
tuition should all be
directly to the
covered with that
school.
like 250 a year. But like, again,
Yeah. My mom used to do that, but she quickly realized it and she switched. She's like, nah, we're just paying the school directly on behalf of this kid. And then they just send
Yeah, a
her
friend of
the
mine who
copies
came
that they did
recently, I'm actually going to
register
let
and
him
stuff
take
like
over
that.
that
And
because
yeah, but
what he's
I
doing instead is trying to support the school itself to help like restructure, rebuild, repair, do whatever they can. But the thing with that, the director of the schools, they're there for their cut too. You get what I'm saying? So how sure that the money's actually going to where it needs to go?
of course it's a business.
Same. Like you're director of a school, you're already going to make your money for the year. So
You
if
start your own school.
there's no reason why not even a small portion of it should go into your pockets. You get what I mean? Because my fundraised like 4 or 5 thousand like a year and a half ago,
Yeah, I know.
and they pretty much just built 3 walls of a small, and that was the progress. I'm like, you can do a lot more with that money. You know, you could have revamped the whole school. You know, fresh paint.
Yeah, especially in Haiti. But I have a
Just
question and um oh, okay, sorry. Well, we are about the 90-minute mark, so I probably should wrap up because I was gonna ask a question about the schooling thing, but we can um have you thought about starting like technical schools? Like, are there technical schools in the community? Because it sounds like for what
I
you're trying to do, it makes
call it
more
a technical
sense
school
because
because
then they can technically use those
to
skills.
run a school. I don't know if you can hear me. You're breaking up a little bit. Yeah, I don't have
Yeah.
the capacity to personally run a school year round. Is why where
No,
we
I
would
hear you.
invite teachers from different places to do workshops. You know, so you still get the technical aspect without having it be a full term thing where I'm going to have like find a way to house teachers or house workshop programmers or whatever it may be. It just ends up being um, a little bit too much. Yeah, so we're
Yeah,
trying to make it again as
too
regenerative as
much.
possible, both for the land and for our souls. We cannot. There are technical schools nearby. Unfortunately, they're not so legit because I even signed up for a class this past year because two kids came, hey, we want to learn how to put ceramics down. I'm talking about two little kids. I was like, legit, you know, like, let's do this together. You know, they had like a class on Windows. I'm like, sure, why not? Let me learn how to like install like Windows that stuff while I'm at it. We'll all go to school to go to school. We signed up for school in June. I mean, I should have guessed like the fifth that they offered was a little too much for a small school to offer. You get what I'm saying? But I took it in good faith. I went to the school. I saw the director. I paid the money. We filled out the applications. We had long conversations because like the plan was while I was going to school, after school, I would generate their garden because they wanted to do a garden to cafeteria program. You know, I'll be busy here with you guys, and I'll
Yeah,
be more than happy to do that. Buddies,
nothing happened.
so exactly, they're not going to do anything.
And you can't
So
call the
that's the thing.
cops.
I'm going to provide workshops. It's not going to be something that people are going to have to pay for. Hopefully, we can afford to fly a teacher down for a week to give a legit workshop that can benefit somebody's life.
Well, that's another way
Yes,
people
if you're a
can help. You
professional,
can
you want to give a
volunteer
workshop,
your skills and your
time at the
time
moment
to
until we can
come
afford to
and
pay you.
volunteer for the workshop.
um,
Yeah.
please, please, please come. You know, we have like Shaya Letzian, for example. She's been down here a few times where she does like a wellness and yoga thing with the kids. All the kids get to keep a diary. Every day we talk about our feelings, something we don't have in our culture. You know what I mean? We do stretches, we learn breathing, and all these good things. So we have people that have come here. We've had another person from Washington State, Teddy, who came here and taught some of the kids. You know, I mean, it's whatever you can give back. Like we're not, there's somebody that wants to learn a little bit of everything. Hi, how are you? So yeah, if anybody wants to share their profession,
Say hi. Um, I'm sorry. Everyone who has dreadlocks he thinks looks like his dad. Can you go? I'll be right there. But yeah, I think that's a great way to contribute, especially if you already have the skills. And instead of going to a vacation in Miami for the 15th time, take a flight, come and support and actually donate
Mhm.
and give your
And we're
help
finding
to
a way to
Haiti
do remote
and
classes too, if anybody
grow
can't.
Haiti, right? Grown in Haiti. Yeah, that's the internet. Boom, boom. No excuses. No excuses. You don't even have to live your conveniences that are killing us. But I know you have to go. Um, where can people find you? Obviously
Everywhere.
your social media, all of those things, and what's the fastest? What's the project?
Yes. Growninhaiti.com, growninhaiti.com.
Grown in Haiti everywhere, y'all. Literally, go buy the shirts, go buy the cup. And what's a
Okay,
project that you're
currently actively
currently
working
actively
on the
working on
Farmers
that they
Committee,
can help?
trying to support those that are supporting the land. Um, Another thing is, again, our community center that we've been in the progress of building for some time. Right now, we're speaking with architects about the final design. Community first aid program, because the hospitals here won't give a look at you if you're not paying up front. We're also trying to, if anybody wants to send us some water filters, we've experimented with a few water filters, like Sawyer is our top brand or the most usable for long term. Want to send us some water filters? We're trying to get community water filtration system going, because all we have up here is rainwater into cisterns. There's no running water. There's no water delivery. There's no water vending stations or anything. So to help improve the health of our community, it does start with the water and the quality of our food systems. So that is another initiative we're trying to support. So please send us some.
All right, perfect. Well, I know you have to go because we could sit here all day and talk about Haiti because that's in our heart. So I appreciate you. You guys go donate, go volunteer, go on the website, buy a t-shirt. Just do. Don't just say I want to help Haiti. Haiti's so many stuff. I'm waiting for Haiti to get better. Be part of the people that are actually actively working to make Haiti better so we can be proud of our at least our part in making our country great. So thank you so much, Sydney, for talking to me and being on this. Of course. Well, I know you got to go in a meeting, so I will send you clips and videos and things like
It's
that,
another
and
conversation.
probably email you about how I can come to Haiti. Thank you so much. All right, perfect. Well, you have a blessed day and keep doing the great work that you do. Bye.